Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, today we will discuss the severe acute respiratory syndrome. Dear students, the usual pattern of our discussion will include problem statement, epidemiological triad, clinical features, diagnosis, and prevention and control. Severe acute respiratory syndrome is a communicable respiratory viral disease. It is caused by a strain of coronavirus which differs considerably in genetic structure from the previously recognized coronaviruses. Remember, the disease COVID-19 is also caused by coronavirus but by a different strain, and the disease COVID-19 that will be discussed in the next lecture. In severe acute respiratory syndrome, the common symptoms include fever, malaise, chills, headache, myalgias, dizziness, cough, sore throat, and running nose. In some cases, the clinical condition rapidly deteriorates and which results in low oxygen saturation and acute respiratory failure. And this acute respiratory failure requires a mechanical ventilation. This disease is capable of causing deaths in as much as 10% of the cases. The very first case of severe acute respiratory syndrome was found in a healthcare worker in China in late 2002. Then this disease from China rapidly spread to different countries including Hong Kong, Singapore, Vietnam, Taiwan, and Toronto. By August 2003, about 8,422 cases were reported to World Health Organization from 30 different countries with fatality of 916. Coronavirus is an RNA virus and the incubation period has been estimated to be 2 to 7 days, commonly between 3 to 5 days. The primary mode of transmission is through direct and or indirect contact of mucous membranes of eyes, mouth, nose with respiratory droplets or fomites. Use of aerosol generating procedures, that is endotracheal intubation, bronchoscopy, nebulization treatments in a hospital, they may amplify the transmission of the severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus. The natural reservoir of this virus is horseshoe bat. This virus can survive in the external environment. Severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus, it can survive for hours on common surfaces outside the human body and up to 4 days on human waste. It, it can survive for at least 24 hours on a plastic surface at room temperature, and in cold environment it can survive for extended periods of time. Case definition of severe acute respiratory syndrome is based on current understanding of clinical features of severe acute respiratory syndrome and available epidemiological data. The following is the case definition as described by international health regulations. According to this definition, there must be a history of documented fever and one or more of the symptoms of lower respiratory tract illness, that is cough, difficulty breathing, shortness of breath, and radiographic evidence of lung infiltrates which are consistent with pneumonia or acute respiratory distress syndrome, or autopsy findings which are consistent with pathology of pneumonia or acute respiratory distress syndrome without an identifiable cause. And lastly, no alternative diagnosis is fully explaining the illness. These, these 4 points, they basically are the case definition of severe acute respiratory distress syndrome. Laboratory diagnosis of severe acute respiratory syndrome includes PCR test and ELISA test. In PCR test, at least two different clinical specimens should be taken, that is, nasopharyngeal swab and stool specimen should be taken, and they should be positive for coronavirus RNA. And the second test includes ELISA test. Dear students, there are few epidemiological aspects which we need to consider while discussing severe acute respiratory syndrome. Healthcare workers, especially those who are involved in procedures generating aerosols, they accounted for nearly 21% of the all cases. Maximum virus excretion from the respiratory tract occurs on about 10th days of illness, and after that it declines. There is no evidence that the patient transmits the disease after 10 days once the fever has resolved. The maximum transmission occurs from a severely ill patient or from patients who are suffering from rapid clinical deterioration. Children, they are rarely affected by severe acute respiratory syndrome. The international flights, they have been associated with the transmission of SARS from symptomatic probable cases to other passengers or crew. World Health Organization recommends exit screening and other measures to reduce the opportunities for further international spread associated with air travel during the epidemic period. There are few complications which arise from severe acute respiratory syndrome. Pulmonary decompensation is the most feared problem. Acute respiratory distress syndrome occurs in about 16% of the patients, and about 20 to 30% of the patients they require intubation and mechanical ventilation. That is, they need ventilatory support. Intensive care results in nosocomial infection, tension pneumothorax from ventilation at high peak pressures, and non-cardiogenic pulmonary edema. Severe cases of severe acute respiratory syndrome, they require intensive treatment. Now the prognosis varies. Overall mortality rate of identified cases is about 14%, but this is not uniform. In younger age groups, the mortality is less, while it is more than 50% in persons over the age of 65 years. Also, there are certain factors which label a case as a high risk case, and these are considered as poor prognostic factors. These include advanced age, chronic hepatitis B infection treated with lamivudine, high initial or high peak lactate dehydrogenase concentration, high neutrophil count on presentation, patients suffering from diabetes mellitus or acute kidney disease, and low counts of CD4 and CD8 on presentation. There is no vaccine against SARS, so the preventive measures for SARS control, they are basically appropriate detection and protective measures. These measures include the following: prompt identification of persons with SARS, their movements and their contacts. Number 2, effective isolation of SARS patients in hospitals, protection of medical staff because the medical staff they are at risk, comprehensive identification and isolation of suspected SARS cases, then the simple hygienic measures like hand washing after touching a patient, use of appropriate and well-fitted mask, and introduction of infection control measures. Number 6, exit screening of the international travels, and last, timely and accurate reporting and sharing of information with other authorities or governments. These are the preventive measures for the SARS. This concludes our today's lecture. Thank you very much.